Bhagavad Gita on my Kindle. Bear with me, Prabhu.
Okay, I'll get the
Who's
verse
there?
up. I'll get the
When
verses
it's
up.
playing me up. Nearly there.
Hare Krishna, Krishna. So
Okay,
that's
I'm
not
in
the...
now. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Okay, just bear with me, Mataji. I'm also having a bit of problems with my computer freezing now. Oh, okay. You carry on, Mataji, because somehow the other my computer's frozen.
Okay.
You carry on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Chapter 13. Nature, Enjoyer, and Consciousness. Chapter 13. Text 1 and 2. Arjuna Vacha Prakritim Purusham Chaiva Kshetram Kshetra Jnanam Evacha Etadvaditam Ichhami Jnanam Yeyam Cha Keshava Shri Bhagavan Vacha Idam Shariram Konteya Kshetram Ityabhiyate Etadyo Vetitam Prahu Kshetrajnayiti Vida.
Arjun said, "Oh my dear Krishna, I wish to know about Prakriti, nature, Purush, the enjoyer, and the field and the knower of the field, and of knowledge, and the object of knowledge." The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "This body, O son of Kunti, is called the field, and one who knows this body is called the knower of the field."
Text 3. Kshetrajnam chapi mam vitti sarva kshetreshu bharata kshetra kshetrajnyor jnanam yatta jnanam mama.
O Shen of Bharat, you should understand that I am also the knower in all bodies. And to understand this body and its knower is called knowledge. That is my opinion.
Text 4. Tat kshetram yacha yadrikcha yavikari yatascha yat sachayo yat prabhavascha tat samasen me shrunu.
Now, please hear my brief description of this field of activity and how it is constituted, what its changes are, whence it is produced, who that knower of the field of activities is, and what his influences are.
5. Rishibirbahuda Gitam Chandobhi Vivadda Prathak Brahma Sutra Padeschaiva Hetum Tipi Vinishchita.
That knowledge of the field of activities and the knower of activities is described by various sages in various Vedic writings. It is specially presented in Vedanta Sutra with all reasoning as to cause and effect.
Mahabhutanyāṅkāro buddhiravyaktam evacha indriyani dashaikam cha pancha chendriya gochara ichha devesha sukham dukham sanghatas chetana titi eta kshetram samashena savikaram udahritam.
The five great elements, false ego, intelligence, the unmanifested, the 10 senses, and the mind, the five sense objects, desire, hatred, happiness, distress, the aggregate, the life of symptoms and convictions. All these are considered in summary to be the field of activities and its interactions.
8 to 12. Amani tvam adam pitvam ahimsa shantir arjavam acharya पाषाणम् शौचं स्थैर्यम् आत्मा विनिग्रहः इन्द्रियार्थेषु वैराग्यम् अहङ्कार एव च जन्म मृत्यु जरा व्याधि दुःख दोषानुदर्शनम् अशक्तिरनाभिस्वाङ्ग पुत्रदार गृहादिषु नित्यं च समचित्तत्वम् स्थानिस्थो पपतिषु मयि चान्यं योगेन भक्तिरव्याभिचारिणी विवेकदेशसेवित्वम् अर्तिजन् संसदि अध्यात्मज्ञाननित्यत्वं तत्त्वज्ञानार्थदर्शनम् एतज्ज्ञानम् इति प्रोक्तम् अज्ञानं यदतोऽन्यथा.
Humility, pridelessness, non-violence, tolerance, simplicity, approaching a bona fide spiritual master, cleanliness, steadiness, self-control, renunciation of the objects of sense gratification, absence of false ego, the perception of the evil of birth, death, old age, and disease, detachment, freedom from entanglement with children, wife, home, and the rest, even-mindedness amid pleasant and unpleasant events, constant and unalloyed devotion to me, aspiring to live in a solitary place, detachment from the general mass of people, accepting the importance of self-realization and philosophical search for the absolute truth. All these I declare to be knowledge, and besides this, whatever there may be is ignorance.
Text 13. Yayam yattat pravakshami yajnatvam ashnute anadimat param brahma na sattan na sat uchyate.
I shall now explain the knowable, knowing which you will taste the eternal, Brahman, the spirit beginningless and subordinate to me, lies beyond the cause and effect of this material world.
Sarvata pani padam tat sarvata shiro mukham sarvata shruti malloke sarvam avritya tistati.
Everywhere are his hands and legs, his eyes, heads, and faces, and he has ears everywhere. In this way, the Supersoul exists, pervading everything.
15. Sarvendriya gunabhasam sarvendriya vivrajitam ashaktim sarva pratyaiva niguna guna oktracha.
The Supersoul is the original source of all senses, yet he is without senses. He is unattached, although he is the maintainer of all living beings. He transcends the modes of nature, and at the same time, he is the master of all the modes of material nature.
16. Bahirantasya bhutanam acharam charam eva cha sukshmatvat tat avijñāyam durastham chantike cha tat.
The Supreme Truth exists outside and inside of all living beings, the moving and non-moving, because he is subtle. He is beyond the power of the material senses to see or to know. Although far, far away, he is also near to all.
17. Avibhaktam cha bhuteshu vibhaktamiva cha Titam bhuta bhartra cha tadhyayam grashishnu prabhavishnu cha.
Although the Supersoul appears to be divided among all beings, he is never divided. He is situated as one. Although he is the maintainer of every living entity, it is to be understood that he devours and develops all.
18. Jyotisampi tajyotistamasha param uchyate. Jnayam jnaya ajnanam jnaya jnana gamyam hradi sarvasya vishtitam.
He is the source of light in all luminous objects. He is beyond the darkness of matter and is unmanifested. He is knowledge. He is the object of knowledge, and he is the goal of knowledge. He is situated in everyone's heart.
Iti kshetram tata jnanam Jneyam choktam samasta madbhakta etat vijnaya mad bhavaya papadyate.
Thus, the field of activities, the body, knowledge, and the knowable have been summarily described by me. Only my devotees can understand this thoroughly and thus attain to my nature.
Text 20. Prakritim purusham chaiva vidyanadi ubhava api vikramascha gunascha chaiva vidi prakriti sambhavan.
Material nature and the living entities should be understood to be beginningless. Their transformations and the modes of matter are products of material nature.
कार्यकारण कर्तृत्वे हेतु प्रकृतिर उच्यते पुरुष सुख दुखानां भोक्तृत्वे हेतुर उच्यते.
Nature is said to be the cause of all material causes and effects, whereas the living entity is the cause of the various sufferings and enjoyments in this world.
Text 22. Purusha prakriti stohi bhunte prakriti jana gunana karanam guna sangosya sadasad yoni janmashu.
The living entity in material nature thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with that material nature. Thus he meets with good and evil among various species.
Text 23. Upadrastanu mantacha bharta bhokta maheshwara Paramatmeti chapye ukto dehesmin purusha para.
Yet in this body there is another, a transcendental enjoyer, who is the Lord, the supreme proprietor, who exists as the overseer and permitter, and who is known as the Supersoul.
24. Ya evam veti purusham prakritim cha gunetaha sarvatha vartmano pi na sabhuyo vijayate.
One who understands this philosophy concerning material nature, the living entity, and the interaction of the modes of nature is sure to attain liberation. He will not take birth here again, regardless of his present position.
Text 25. Dhyanenatmani pashyanti kechid atmanam atmana anye sankhya yogena karma yogena chapare.
Some perceive the Supersoul in themselves through meditation, others through the cultivation of knowledge, and still others through working without fruitive desires.
26. Anyetva evam ajanantas shrutvanye bhaya upasate tepi Chatitaranya eva mrutyam shruti parayana.
Again, there are those who, although not conversant in spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Person upon hearing about him from others. Because of their tendency to hear from authorities, they also transcend the path of birth and death.
27. Yavat sanjayate kinchit satvam satavara jangamama kshetra kshetragna samyoga tadviti bharatarshava.
O chief of the Bharatas, know that whatever you see in existence, both the moving and the non-moving, is only a combination of the field of activities and the knower of the field.
628. Tamam sarveshu bhuteshu tistantam parmeshwaram vinashayatsva avinashayantam ya pashyati sa pashyati.
One who sees the super soul accompanying the individual soul in all bodies and who understands that neither the soul nor the super soul within the destructible body is ever destroyed, actually sees.
Samam pashyani sarvatra samavastitam ishvaram nahin sat nahinstya atmanam tato yati param gatim.
One who sees the super soul equally present everywhere in every living being does not degrade himself by his mind. Thus he approaches the transcendental destination.
630 Prakrityeva cha karmani क्रियमाणानि सर्वश य पश्यति तथात्मानम् अकर्तरं स पश्यति.
One who can see that all activities are performed by the body, which is created of material nature, and sees that the self does not nothing actually sees.
631 यदा भूतपृथग्भावम् एकस्थम् अनुपश्यति तथैव च विस्तारं ब्रह्म सम्पदायते तदा.
When a sensible man ceases to see different identities due to different material bodies, and he sees how beings are expanded everywhere, he attains to the Brahman conception.
32 अनादित्वं निर्गुणत्वात् परमात्माय अव्यय शरीरस्थोऽपि कौन्तेय न करोति न लिप्यते.
Those with the vision of eternity can see that imperishable soul is transcendental, eternal, and beyond the modes of nature. Despite contact with the material body, O Arjun, the soul neither does anything nor is entangled.
33 यथा सर्वगतिं सूक्ष्मयात् आकाशं नोपलिप्यते सर्वत्रावस्थितो देहे तथात्मानोपलिप्यते.
The sky, due to its subtle nature, does not mix with anything, although it is all pervading. Similarly, the soul situated in Brahman vision does not mix with the body, though situated in that body.
यथा प्रकाश्यत्य एक कृत्स्नं लोकमेमं रवि क्षेत्रं क्षेत्री तथा क्षेत्राणां प्रकाश्यति भारत.
O son of Bharat, as the sun alone illuminates all this universe, so does the living entity, one within the body, illuminate the entire body by consciousness.
635 क्षेत्र क्षेत्रज्ञो एवं अंतरं Jnana Chakshusha Bhuta Prakriti Moksham Cha Yaviduryanti Te Param.
Those who see with eyes of knowledge the difference between the body and the knower of the body, and can also understand the process of liberation from bondage in material nature, attain to the super goal.
Since the Bhaktivedanta purport of Srimad Bhagavatam, text 13, in the matter of
Nature.
the nature, enjoyer, and consciousness. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Vishalini Mataji and Navneet Prabhu, for your wonderful recitation. So stop sharing there. Share my screen. Dear devotees, today I've been requested by Divyanam Prabhu, it being a very special day. He's given me the privilege of speaking on the disappearance of Srila Prabhupada. So I'll say the invocation, Mangalacharanam prayers first. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmalitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Panchakalpa Turubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vashari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namah Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschcha Deshatarine Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Once on his Guru Maharaj's disappearance day, Srila Prabhupada said, on the absolute platform, there is no difference between the appearance and the disappearance of the spiritual master. Both are beautiful, just like the sunrise and the sunset. So just like the sunrise is very beautiful, and the sunset is equally beautiful in its own way. So in the same way, the appearance day of the spiritual master is beautiful, and his disappearance is also beautiful. Although the mood is different, on the disappearance day, we feel separation. And through the separation, we absorb ourselves more in remembering the spiritual master, both in his Vapu form, physical form when he was present, and his Vani, his instructions. And Srila Prabhupada, one teaching he gave us is that service in separation in our philosophy is always deeper and more relishable. So many of us, I'm sure, have had experience of this today, absorbing ourselves in hearing about Srila Prabhupada, about absorbing ourselves in hearing his words and drinking and taking in his words, and also in serving him in different ways. We would have had taste from that feeling of separation on how separation is also relishable in its own way. So we shall try to discuss today something about the disappearance of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada is known as Jagat Guru, or the founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. The word Acharya comes from the Sanskrit word achar. Achar means example or behavior. So the spiritual master, in all of his activities, is imparting very important instructions through his behavior. So in the same way, Srila Prabhupada's entire life was an example of devotion and an example to his students and his followers. So in the same way, Srila Prabhupada's disappearance pastimes also has some very deep and profound meanings, which we'll try to share. Today I had the good fortune of hearing from my own spiritual master, His Holiness Giriraj Swami, about his realizations on Srila Prabhupada's disappearance, and I'll try to, this is our process, we hear and we repeat. So we hear from the authorities, or we hear from those who were close and dear to Srila Prabhupada, and we repeat. So I'll try to do that. In 1977, Srila Prabhupada passed away on November 14th at 7:30, or actually to be more precise, it was 7:36 in 1977. And there were many events that led up to the passing of Srila Prabhupada. In May 1977, Srila Prabhupada was in Bombay. And it was at that point in time that his health started to deteriorate quite severely. And Srila Prabhupada at that time decided to try to divorce himself more from the management of ISKCON and just absorb himself in translating and hearing Srimad Bhagavatam and the chanting. So Srila Prabhupada, during those days, he was for hours just listening to Srimad Bhagavatam, Kirtan, and he was doing translating work. At one point in time, the previous governor of Gujarat, Sriman Narayan, came to visit Srila Prabhupada. And we all know around May time, it's very hot in Bombay. And just after that, the monsoon season starts. So the devotees were looking for some nice place for Srila Prabhupada to recuperate. And Sriman Narayan suggested that he go to Rishikesh. And Srila Prabhupada traveled first to Delhi and then Rishikesh. But it was around that time also in May that he wrote or he spoke. And he said, so I cannot speak, I am feeling weak. I was to go to other places like Chandigarh, but I canceled the program because the condition of my health is very deteriorating. It was very unusual for Srila Prabhupada to cancel any program, but he canceled his program to Chandigarh. So I prefer to come to Vrindavan. If death takes place, let it take place here. So there is nothing new to be said. Whatever I've said, I have to speak, I've spoken in my books. Now you try to understand it and continue your endeavor. Whether I am present or not present, it doesn't matter. As Krishna is living eternally, similarly, the living being also lives eternally. But one who has done service for the Lord lives forever. So you have been taught to serve Krishna, and with Krishna we live eternally. Our life is eternal. A temporary disappearance of this body doesn't matter. Body is meant for disappearance. So Srila Prabhupada traveled to Delhi, and from Delhi he went to Rishikesh. And while he was in Rishikesh, he spent some time there, and it was very nice, and it seemed like he was experiencing some better health. But then there was a massive storm one day. Actually, I should have shared my screen, sorry, with audio enabled. Sorry. So the massive storm broke, and Bhakti Charomaj related what happened then.
There was this huge storm. And it looked so ominous, and it was not only heavy rain, but there was a storm. And the storm made some electric poles topple over in some place, and electric supply got disrupted. And it became very cold also, cold, rainy, and wind. And it was very kind of eerie, like ominous. And those days I used to attend Srila Prabhupada from 12 to 2. And it was around 1 o'clock, Prabhupada just called me. And he told me that the time has come for me to die. And I want to die in Vrindavan. So make arrangements to take me to Vrindavan. And it was
So Srila Prabhupada revealed to Bhakti Charaswami, who was then Kishore, that he wanted to leave his body. He felt the time had come, and he wanted the devotees to take him to Vrindavan.
there was this huge storm.
So Srila Prabhupada traveled to Vrindavan, and he was there during May, June, July, and August. So he was there for the warmest part of the Indian summer. And during that time, he just stayed in Vrindavan. For a while, he would come out from his room and take darshan, and then he would go back. He was hardly taking any food or drink, and he was very much emancipated. But then Srila Prabhupada had the desire to go to the West. And although his health was bad, the Kaviraj said, well, if his desire is to travel, let him travel. And Srila Prabhupada decided first to come to London, and then from London he would go to America. So Prabhupada traveled on the 28th of August. It was a 20-hour flight that stopped over in Italy, and then he had to circle around Heathrow, and eventually after 20 hours he landed up. And he stayed here in London from the 1st to the 13th of September. He spent Janmashtami on the September 6, 1977, and then the following day, Vyasa Puja. And this is a picture of Srila Prabhupada in Bhaktivedanta manner. And we can see how weak Srila Prabhupada was. He had to be carried in a chair like a palanquin. But the day after his Vyasa Puja, his health turned very bad. And he told the devotees he doesn't feel he'll be able to travel to the US. And he should be taken back to India. So Prabhupada traveled back to India. He landed up in Bombay. He spent a few days there in Bombay. And then he took a train from Bombay to Mathura. And then from Mathura, the devotees took him to Vrindavan. So Srila Prabhupada had decided that he was going to leave his body in Vrindavan. So in September, he was in Vrindavan. He practically for 6 weeks, he had eaten or drunk nothing. And he had become very, very weak and very thin. And his health was very poor. But during those last days, Srila Prabhupada taught a very important lesson to his disciples and his devotees. And he decided that he wanted to go by bullock cart on parikrama around Govardhan Hill. So Lokanath Swami was doing this Padayatra campaign. He arranged for the bullock cart, and Srila Prabhupada expressed his determination that he was going to go. So at that time, there were two groups of disciples. One group of disciples believed it was the duty of the disciple to execute the order of the spiritual master as he wants. And there was another group that felt that if Srila Prabhupada embarked on this trip, there was absolutely no way he would survive. So at that time, he was bedridden and he was emaciated and he was unable to eat. He could only sip a little liquid and he was gaunt, weak, with no energy. And he would just lie on his bed, and sometimes with great difficulty, he would speak softly, often so faintly that one could hardly hear him unless one was very close. So this scene was going on at the moment. Some devotees were making all preparations for Srila Prabhupada to go on this bullock cart. And some devotees felt that if he was going to go, there was no way he would survive. And finally, they came to the day where the bullock cart was just waiting outside the gates of Krishna Balaram Mandir. And everybody was ready to place Srila Prabhupada on a mattress on the bullock cart and take him. And just before, at that point, a few hours earlier, one of the devotees one of the Brajavasis who had gone on that road, came back and told the other group who didn't want Srila Prabhupada to go, that if Srila Prabhupada, that road was very bad. If Prabhupada went on the bullock cart there was no way he would survive. So the devotees didn't know what to do. The cart was waiting, and the other devotees felt if Prabhupada went, he would never survive. So Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj, at that point, he went and approached Srila Prabhupada's godbrother, Akinchana Das Babaji Maharaj. And Babaji Maharaj was a very advanced devotee. Srila Prabhupada said he was a Paramahamsa, and he was always engaged and absorbed in Harinam. And he was always very, very blissful, always laughing. And he had an extraordinarily affectionate relationship with Srila Prabhupada. So Bhakti Charu Maharaj thought, let me appeal to Babaji Maharaj to ask Prabhupada not to go. So he took Babaji Maharaj into another room and he says, Babaji Maharaj, do you know what Srila Prabhupada is trying to do? He wants to go to on Parikram in this condition, and there's no way he will survive. And when Babaji Maharaj heard this, he said, okay, he will do something. So he went next to Srila Prabhupada's bedside and he told Srila Prabhupada, I don't think you should go on Parikrama. And when Prabhupada heard his dear godbrother say that, he replied, if you feel that way, then I won't go. So in this way, Prabhupada didn't go, and he spent his last 3 days with his disciples at Krishna Balaram Mandir. And on the last day, he never spoke at all. The only words he said when he spoke to the Kaviraj who asked him to drink, he said, Meri kuch icha nahi. I have no desire. And after that, Prabhupada never spoke. And he was in a completely an internal state of consciousness. And the devotees surrounded him with kirtan. And if we have time, I'll show a little video of that. And for the last few hours in the afternoon, the leaders opened up the doors and everyone came into the room. Young, old, children, men, women, everyone was allowed to be in Srila Prabhupada's room. And then surrounded by his disciples, all massaging him, leading kirtan, showing them his love, their love. At 7:26 p.m. on the 14th of November 1977, Prabhupada uttered Hare Krishna. His tongue and his mouth moved, and he said Hare Krishna, and then he left. He left this world. But after Srila Prabhupada left, this controversy continued. The feelings were still high. Should they have taken Prabhupada as his desire, or should they have kept him where he was. And then my Guru Maharaj, Giriraj Swami Maharaj, he relates that he was unsure which group was right. And what was Srila Prabhupada really doing through this whole experience? And then Maharaj, when he was sitting in Prabhupada's room, chanting his japa, his eyes fell on the 10th canto, volume 2. 10th canto, volume 2 was just delivered to Srila Prabhupada, and it had gold embossing. And Maharaj's eyes were attracted to this book, so he picked up the book and he opened it. And the moment he opened it, it opened to chapter 9. Mother Yashoda binds Krishna. And then Maharaj came to these verses, which was a revelation to him about what Srila Prabhupada was trying to do in these final pastimes. And text 19 reads, O Maharaj Parikshit, this is Shukadev Goswami speaking, this entire universe with its great exalted demigods like Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, and Lord Indra is under the control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yet the Supreme Lord has one transcendental attribute. He comes under the control of his devotees. This was now exhibited by Krishna in this pastime. And then text number 18 prior to that. Because of Mother Yashoda's hard labor, her whole body became covered with perspiration, and the flowers and comb were falling from her hair. When child Krishna saw his mother thus fatigued, he became merciful to her and he agreed to be bound. And Maharaj relates that when he read these verses, he thought, this is what happened. The spiritual master is the transparent medium through which Krishna manifests himself. In Vraja Bhakti, the relationship with Krishna is different from awe and reverence. In Vraja, Krishna exhibits Nara Leela, human-like pastimes in which there is complete intimacy and freedom between the Lord and the devotees. In the relationship between the disciples and spiritual master, there is always an element of awe and reverence and duty. Still, duty is meant to lead to love. And as Srila Prabhupada said to Babaji Maharaj, just see how much they love me. So Maharaj reveals that what Srila Prabhupada was doing in his final days, by the way he was acting with the devotees, in the way he was drawing out their anxiety and their love, he was trying to show that love needs to go higher than duty. One serves the spiritual master normally through duty, but one has to come to the point of serving the spiritual master with love. One Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, was asked, out of who all the disciples in your ashram, who is the best? And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj replied, the one with the most amount of affection is the best. So in this way, Srila Prabhupada revealed. But there was also another part of this pastime, the final pastimes, which Maharaj reveals. Actually, 1 month earlier, there'd been another incident where Srila Prabhupada had stopped drinking. He stopped eating, but he also stopped drinking. And he had said that his own father had left his body in this way. He had stopped drinking, and Prabhupada said, this is a bona fide way for a devotee to leave his body. And Prabhupada didn't announce anything. He didn't say, he just stopped drinking. And then Upendra Das, a very sweet devotee who was serving Srila Prabhupada as personal assistant, he said to Srila Prabhupada, you have to drink. If you don't drink, you will become dehydrated. And Prabhupada said, oh, you want me to drink? Call the GBC. That decision was no small matter. So all of Prabhupada's senior disciples in the GBC came into the room. And Prabhupada said, if I want to survive, of course, I'll have to take something. But my survival means so many inconveniences. Therefore, I have decided to die peacefully. Prabhupada saying, if he wants to stay alive, there's just so many inconveniences. So Prabhupada said, everything is in the hands of Krishna, said Tamal Krishna Maharaj. And that had been the mood coming from Srila Prabhupada. Everything depends on Krishna. Many times Prabhupada said that he would accept whatever Krishna desired. If Krishna allowed him to stay, he would stay. And if Krishna wanted him to go, he would go. Previously, a disciple had asked him that your guru said that he wanted to leave early because he was disgusted. Was that the case? Prabhupada said, no, I am happy in your association. Now, however, Prabhupada opened his eyes and he said, Krishna wants me to do as I like. The choice is mine. He has given me full freedom. So Prabhupada is revealing that Krishna had given him the choice to do as he like. Full freedom Prabhupada had to leave or not leave. And this was a different mood, a completely different answer. And it gave us the glimpse into the intimate relationship between Krishna and Srila Prabhupada. So everyone went into another room and they discussed, and the consensus was very clear. If Prabhupada had the choice, then the devotee should ask him to stay. So they all went back to the room where Prabhupada was lying down on his bed. And as soon as he finished offering obeisances, Kirtananda Swami, who was the spokesman, he started crying. He couldn't speak. But finally he managed to say, Srila Prabhupada, if Krishna has given you the choice, then don't go. We need you. Srila Prabhupada asked, is this your joint opinion? Have you discussed? Yes, we have all met together. We want you to remain and lead the movement and finish Srimad Bhagavatam. Prabhupada was silent for what seemed like an eternity. And then he yawned and he said, all right, just like that. And he agreed to stay in this most nonchalant way. And obviously the devotees were all jubilant. Prabhupada is going to stay. Prabhupada is going to stay. He's not going to leave us. He's going to finish Srimad Bhagavatam. He's going to leave the movement. And when Prabhupada saw all of the devotees in that mood, he said, this is real affection. So from both of these incidents, Prabhupada going on the bullock cart and Prabhupada being asked to stay, we see that Prabhupada said, this is real love. Just see how much he loved me, Prabhupada said to his gallbrother. So what Prabhupada was doing in those last days, he was drawing out the love of his disciples, the maximum love. So following the order of the spiritual master is a given. No one can disobey the order of the spiritual master. That's a basic principle of spiritual life. But what Prabhupada was showing about developing loving feelings for the spiritual master and expressing them to him. And when Srila Prabhupada brought the devotees to that stage, he commented, this is real love. And if we relate to that verse, this whole experience to this verse in the Damodarastakam that we chant every day, Iti Driksva Lilabir Ananda Kunde Swagosham Nimajantam Akya Payantam Tadi Yashita Geshu Bhakta Jitarvam Puna Prematastam Satavriti Vande. By such childhood pastimes, he's drowning the inhabitants of Gokul in pools of ecstasy. And he's revealing to those devotees who are absorbed in knowledge of his supreme majesty and opulence that is only conquered by devotees whose pure love is imbued with intimacy and is free from all conceptions of own reverence. To the Supreme Lord Sri Damodar, whose belly is born not with robes but with his devotees' pure love, I offer my humble obeisances. So this Damodar Leela, it shows that spontaneous love, special power to conquer the love. The Lord is under the control of such pure love. And in the same way, Srila Prabhupada, not exactly that he came under the control, but he would say that he brought that love out from deep within the recesses of all of these disciples. And he reciprocated with them coming under the control and agreeing to their request. Now, this is a very deep pastime of Srila Prabhupada, but Srila Prabhupada is showing the highest stage of devotion, which is spontaneous devotion arising out of deep love. 3 days before Srila Prabhupada left this world, Giriraj Das was sleeping on the room of the Gurukul building, and he got a message that Srila Prabhupada wanted to see him. And when he went to see Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada was alone in his room. And then Prabhupada asked Giriraj Das, do you think this movement will go on without me? And Giriraj Das was astounded that Prabhupada had called him in the middle of the night to ask him. And he said, I think, Giriraj said, as long as we sincere and go on chanting Hare Krishna and follow the principles, the movement will be successful. Prabhupada was silent. When he spoke, each word seemed to come with great effort. He uttered the word organization. Then he said, organization and intelligence. Is there anything else? So Prabhupada said through organization and intelligence, this movement will go on. And obviously, that organization and intelligence is underpinned by sincerity and chanting Hare Krishna. So this is the beautiful building of Srila Prabhupada's Samadhi in Vrindavan. After he left, his body was put in Samadhi. Under this Murti or deity of Srila Prabhupada sits Prabhupada's body in Samadhi. And we should all go to Vrindavan and take benefit of that. Prabhupada says, I will never die, I will live from my books, and you will utilize. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, 28th chapter, 49th verse, the passing away of Puranjana. When the Puranjana, when his next life came back and he passed away, his wife fell down at the feet of a dead husband, and she began to cry pitifully in that solitary forest, and the tears rolled down from her eyes. And Prabhupada writes in the purport, just as a devoted wife becomes afflicted at the passing away of her husband, when his spiritual master passes away, the disciple similarly becomes bereaved. So I just want to show one short video of Srila Prabhupada's passing. I just want to quickly go there, if you bear with me. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna.
That is very dangerous. Therefore, they should be brought into Satguru, that is establishment of Varnashram Dharma. How to bring people in Satguru with Brahminical qualification, very neat and clean, rise early in the morning, this Mangalarati in this way, to stay in Satguru.
The body, mind, and senses of the pure devotee, acting only for the satisfaction of the Lord, are transcendental and are taken charge of by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Being awake to his constitutional position, the pure devotee is situated in Samadhi, the highest perfectional stage of yoga. Being fully absorbed in devotional service, he does not care what is going on with the external body. Such a confidential devotee of the Lord sees in every moment, even a most difficult moment, the special mercy of the Lord.
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna.
Pure devotees are themselves places of pilgrimage. Because of their purity, they are constant companions of the Lord, and therefore they can purify even places of pilgrimage. For such a pure devotee, there is no difference between living and dying, because in this life he engages in pure devotional service, and after giving up his body, he engages in the same service in the spiritual world. Thus, his devotional service is never hindered, nor does he perceive the pangs of death. The pure devotee does not forget Lord Krishna, even for a moment, and Lord Krishna never forgets his devotee.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.
Every learned man knows very well that attachment for the material world is the greatest entanglement of the spirit soul. But that same attachment, when applied to the spiritual master, opens the door of liberation.
The spiritual master's eternal occupation is to expand the service of the Lord by training his disciples in a service attitude. This service attitude, along with knowledge of Krishna, is such a great gift that it is impossible to repay the benefactor.
Our dear Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, because our association with material desires, one after another, we were gradually falling into a blind well full of snakes, following the general populace. But your servant, Srila Prabhupada, kindly accepted us as his followers and instructed us how to achieve the transcendental position. Therefore, our first duty is to serve him. How could we leave his service?
Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama
Hare Krishna. So although it's painful to watch Srila Prabhupada like that, it is also possible for us to enter into that mood by watching Prabhupada's last moments. And I just want to finish off. I know we've gone slightly over time with one story and then one request. Govinda Maharaj tells a story that once he met Akinchana Krishnadas Babaji, the Paramahamsa godbrother of Srila Prabhupada. And when he met him, he was lost for words. All he could say was Akinchana Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. And Maharaj saw that Govinda Maharaj had a tape recorder in his hands, and without having to even ask him, he closed his eyes and started clapping his hands together, and he sang the Mangala Charanam prayers, and then sang Sri Krishna Chaitanya. And when he started singing the Maha Mantra, it was like going into another world. He was chanting so beautifully, and it was like every syllable was drenched in bhav and prem. After 20 minutes, he stopped. He looked at me and said, "I would like to tell you something." "What is that?" I said. He said, "I am an old man and I have a lot of experience in this world. From my experience, I can honestly tell you that there has never been a greater acharya than your spiritual master, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada." When he said that, I was stunned because he was a disciple of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Then he looked up at me and said, "There has never been an acharya in history who has performed miracles like your spiritual master." He paused at me and looked and asked, "Do you know why?" I couldn't speak. "Because in history there has never been a greater servant of Sri Krishna's holy name than your spiritual master. Because your spiritual master has so much absolute understanding of Sri Krishna's holy name and so much absolute faith in Sri Krishna's holy name that he personally carried Sri Krishna's holy name through the length and breadth of the world. Therefore, he is the greatest acharya who has ever existed." Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So one request, on this most auspicious day of Srila Prabhupada's disappearance, Srila Prabhupada wanted Krishna consciousness to be spread far and wide. And we've on this campaign to distribute 30,000 Bhagavad Gitas for his pleasure from now till the 25th of December. We want to get 108 devotees to try, not to say you can even do it, but just to try to see whether you can get 10 families or individuals to sponsor Bhagavad Gitas. So our humble request is on this most auspicious day of Srila Prabhupada's disappearance, let us show how much we honor and appreciate and cherish what he's given us by fulfilling his instructions to give Krishna consciousness to others. So if you'd like to become part of this campaign of 108 devotees spreading the mission of Bhagavad Gita, please let myself, Divyanam Prabhu, Keshav Gokulananda, Mukunda Hari Prabhu know. I'll stop here. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. I'm not sure if anyone's got any questions or reflections.
Hare
Anyone?
Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
This
Prabhu.
is Chandra Chaitanya,
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
your servant, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
This is a most wonderful reminder of our eternal duty to Srila Prabhupada. Without him, I don't think we would ever be having this sort of conversations and wonderful classes.
True.
We have to remember always that he is an absolute in every sense of the word.
Yes. Everything we've been discussing, everything we've been sharing, everything we've learned comes from Srila Prabhupada.
And I cannot see, as Babaji Maharaj said here in this letter from Bibi Govind Maharaj, there has never been an Acharya like him. I don't think there ever will be either. This is something that Prabhupada really did for the pleasure of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Mhm.
Because of his immense mercy, and his love for Krishna. So he wanted to spread that lovely message. And we are so grateful. This is why I also humbly request and support your appeal that we should try and get as many people on board to sponsor the Bhagavad Gita. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Chandra Chaitanya Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances on August Srila Prabhupada and your preaching. It was amazing.
Please
You
accept
really,
mine.
really again, it was just like a heart touched every word today been discussed. And definitely, which we all must try to be in Krishna conscious, more with from mind.
Thank you,
from
Sangita
heart.
Mataji.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare Bo.
Krishna. Hare Krishna. Okay.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Vishalini Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
It was
Krishna,
so
Prabhu.
it was so nice. I mean, it's very painful, but yet we can, when we read Prabhupada's books, we can see him in the book. That he's writing and he's saying things to us. Some things we grasp it very quickly,
Mhm.
and the others we have to work hard on things, to practice. But we can see, and this is the first time we haven't been in Vrindavan since quite a few years now, and every year we go. And today is a different mood in Vrindavan, and we are just standing outside Prabhupada's house and listening to all the kirtans and everything, and everything is so quiet. Usually it's hustle and bustle and people talking, but today would be so quiet. People are more absorbed in chanting and feeling the separation.
Mhm.
But the way you have brought Prabhupada today, thank you very much, is all I can say.
Hare Krishna. I just repeated my Guru Maharaj's words.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
When Prabhupada said that this is the love that when we show affection, I'd like to share something.
Mhm.
When my Guru Maharaj was leaving,
Mhm.
and he was on his way to Vrindavan, and we knew he was going to leave,
Mhm.
and he was just waiting to get into Vrindavan. And I think I was the last person to write to him and speak to him. And I just said, Maharaj, you don't have to worry about us. We will follow your instructions. Maharaj, wherever you are, it's Vrindavan.
Mm.
And you are suffering so much. Please leave now. 2 minutes later, he had gone, and I felt so bad to say, Maharaj, leave now, because we knew the chances were not
Mhm.
there. But
Mhm.
whether he was holding on to us or what, I don't know. Either it was myself or Shiva Maharaj who spoke to him last, but my brother was saying that I was the last one to speak to him. 2 minutes later, I got a message, Maharaj is gone.
Mhm.
Felt so bad. And I kept on thinking, I didn't show any affection to say that, please live with us.
Mhm. Mm. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you, Mataji. Profound. Hare Krishna. So it's gone way over time. I'll stop here. Thank you, devotees, for your time and participation. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Prabhupada's disappearance.
Yay.
Mahotsav ki jai.
Yay.
Guru Premanande. Hare
Jai.
Bol.
Hare
Hari
Krishna.
Bol.
Hare
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Namo Namaha.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhuji. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you. Thank
Class.
you.
Hare